Hey everyone, welcome back to Pharma Talks. Today, we're diving into the essentials of preparing for a GMP compliance specialist interview. Before we jump into the key questions to nail, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more valuable insights into the pharma world. All right, let's talk about common interview questions. You'll likely be asked about your understanding of GMP regulations, so be prepared to discuss your experience with current GMP standards and how you ensure compliance. They might also ask about your experience with audits, quality management systems, or handling deviations. Remember to provide specific examples from your past experience to demonstrate your skills. Also, be ready to discuss your understanding of data integrity and how you ensure the accuracy and reliability of information. They'll want to see that you have a strong commitment to quality. To find more job opportunities and learn more, keep watching the rest of this video. Good luck with your interview.
Question 1. What is GMP and why is it important? Answer. GMP, good manufacturing practice, ensures that products are consistently produced and controlled according to quality standards. It minimizes risks involved in production that cannot be eliminated through testing the final product. Regularly review and update your GMP practices to ensure compliance with current regulations. Reference: World Health Organization (WHO) Guidelines on Good Manufacturing Practices. Question 2. What are the key pillars of GMP? The key pillars are people, procedures, premises, products, and processes. These ensure quality is built into every stage of manufacturing. Ensure that all staff involved in manufacturing receive proper training on GMP guidelines. Reference: U.S. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) Regulations on Good Manufacturing Practices. Question 3. What is the difference between QA and QC? Answer: QA, quality assurance, focuses on preventing defects through systematic activities and documented processes, while QC, quality control, involves testing the final product to detect defects. One tip for understanding this difference is to remember that QA focuses on the process, while QC focuses on the product. For a more detailed explanation, you can refer to resources like the Introduction to Quality Assurance Guide on the American Society for Quality website. Question 4. What does GMP compliance mean to you? Answer: It means strictly following procedures, maintaining accurate records, ensuring proper training, and promoting a culture of quality to meet regulatory and patient safety requirements. One tip for understanding GMP compliance is to focus on consistency and traceability throughout the entire process. For a comprehensive overview, you can refer to the Good Manufacturing Practices guidelines provided by regulatory bodies, such as the FDA. Question 5. How do you handle deviations? Answer: I document the deviation immediately, conduct an investigation, identify the root cause, and implement corrective and preventative actions, CAPA. I also ensure timely reporting to relevant authorities if required. One tip for handling deviations is to prioritize a thorough investigation to understand the underlying cause. For detailed guidance, you can refer to regulatory guidelines on deviation management and CAPA processes. Question 6. What steps do you follow during a GMP audit? Answer: I review documentation, inspect facilities, interview personnel, and assess compliance with SOPs and regulatory guidelines. Findings are recorded and discussed with the auditee for improvement. One tip for conducting GMP audits is to maintain a systematic approach and document all findings clearly. For comprehensive guidance, you can refer to the GMP audit checklist guidelines provided by regulatory bodies or industry standards. Question 7. How do you prepare for a regulatory inspection? Answer: I ensure documentation is complete, training is up to date, processes follow SOPs, and all departments are aware of inspection protocols. A mock audit may be conducted as well. One tip for preparing for regulatory inspections is to review the latest guidelines and ensure all procedures comply. For detailed readiness, you can refer to resources like the Regulatory Inspection Preparedness Guidelines, provided by regulatory bodies or industry associations.
Question 8. What is a CAPA? Answer. CAPA stands for Corrective and Preventative Action. Corrective actions address existing problems, while preventative actions mitigate the risk of recurrence. One tip for understanding CAPA is to focus on addressing both the immediate problem and the root cause. For detailed guidance, you can refer to the Corrective and Preventative Action Process Guidelines provided by regulatory bodies or industry standards. Question 9. How do you ensure data integrity in GMP? Answer. By enforcing ALCOA Plus principles: attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original, accurate, consistent, enduring, and available. One tip for maintaining data integrity is to ensure all data is recorded accurately and consistently. For detailed information, you can refer to the data integrity guidelines provided by regulatory bodies or industry standards. Question 10. What documents are critical in GMP compliance? Answer. SOPs, batch manufacturing records, BMR, cleaning logs, training records, change controls, validation protocols, and audit reports. One tip for managing GMP documents is to ensure all documentation is kept up to date and easily accessible. For detailed requirements, you can refer to the GMP documentation guidelines provided by regulatory bodies or industry standards. Question 11. How do you prepare for a GMP audit? Answer. Review documentation, ensure all SOPs are current, perform internal audits, correct known issues, and conduct mock inspections. One tip for preparing for a GMP audit is to review the latest regulatory guidelines and ensure all processes comply. For detailed readiness, you can refer to the GMP Audit Preparedness Checklist provided by regulatory bodies or industry standards. Question 12. What is the difference between an internal and external audit? Answer. Internal audits are conducted by the company itself to ensure compliance, while external audits are conducted by regulatory agencies or clients. One tip for understanding the difference is to remember that internal audits are proactive for improvement, while external audits are for verification. For detailed comparison, you can refer to the Internal versus External Audits Guidelines provided by quality management standards or regulatory bodies. Question 13. What should you do if you don't know the answer during an audit? Be honest. Say, "I'll find the correct information for you," and follow up quickly. Never guess. One tip for handling difficult questions during audits is to remain calm and promise to provide the correct information promptly. For best practices, you can refer to the GMP Audit Communication Guidelines provided by regulatory bodies or industry standards. Question 14. What are common GMP audit findings? Answer. Common findings include incomplete documentation, poor data integrity, lack of training records, and inadequate SOPs. One tip for avoiding common GMP audit findings is to regularly review and update documentation and procedures. For detailed guidance, you can refer to the GMP Audit Findings Checklist provided by regulatory bodies or industry standards. Question 15. What is a CAPA and how is it used? Answer. CAPA stands for Corrective and Preventative Action. It addresses the root cause of deviations or nonconformities to prevent recurrence. One tip for effectively using CAPA is to ensure a thorough investigation is conducted to identify the root cause. For detailed guidance, you can refer to the Corrective and Preventative Action Process Guidelines provided by quality management standards or regulatory bodies. Question 16. What is validation in GMP? Answer. Validation ensures that a process, system, or equipment consistently produces results meeting predetermined specifications. One tip for understanding validation is to focus on providing documented evidence that a process works reliably. For detailed requirements, you can refer to the process validation guidelines provided by regulatory bodies or industry standards. Question number 17. What are the types of validation? Answer. The main types include process validation, cleaning validation,
equipment validation, and analytical method validation. One tip: it's important to tailor the validation process to the specific requirements of each process or system. One reference: you can refer to regulatory guidelines like those provided by the FDA or other relevant agencies for detailed information. Question number 18. What is change control in a GMP environment? Answer: change control is a formal process for managing changes to processes, equipment, or documents to ensure continued GMP compliance. One tip: it's crucial to have a well-documented change control process to avoid any negative impact on product quality. One reference: you can refer to guidelines from the Pharmaceutical Inspection Convention and Pharmaceutical Inspection Cooperation Scheme, PICS, for best practices in change control. Question number 19. How do you assess the impact of a change? Answer: by conducting a risk assessment to determine if the change affects product quality, process integrity, or regulatory compliance. One tip: ensure the risk assessment is comprehensive and involves relevant stakeholders to capture all potential impacts. One reference: you can refer to guidelines on quality risk management, such as those outlined in ICH Q9, for guidance on assessing change impacts. Question number 20. What is a Validation Master Plan, VMP? Answer: a VMP outlines the approach, responsibilities, and schedule for validation activities in a facility. One tip: ensure the VMP is comprehensive and aligns with regulatory requirements and company procedures. One reference: you can consult guidance documents from industry associations or regulatory agencies for examples of VMP structure and content. Question number 21. How is risk assessed in GMP? Risk is assessed using tools like FMEA, failure modes, and effects analysis, which evaluate the probability and severity of potential issues. One tip: it's important to use a structured risk assessment methodology and involve experts from different departments. One reference: you can refer to ICH Q9 for guidance on quality risk management principles and tools. Question number 22. What are the key elements of data integrity? Data should be accurate, complete, secure, and auditable. Systems must prevent unauthorized access and changes. One tip: implement strong data governance practices and technological controls to ensure data integrity. One reference: you can refer to guidance documents from regulatory agencies, such as the FDA's Guidelines on Data Integrity, for detailed information. Question number 23. How do you handle a data integrity breach? Answer: investigate immediately, report to QA, document findings, implement CAPA, and assess product impact. One tip: having a clear incident management procedure is crucial for effectively handling data integrity breaches. One reference: you can refer to regulatory guidelines like those from the FDA or other relevant agencies for guidance on managing data integrity breaches. Question number 24. What is a quality risk management approach, QRM approach? Answer: QRM is a systematic process for assessing, controlling, and reviewing risks to product quality throughout the product lifecycle. One tip: integrate QRM into your existing quality management system to ensure a proactive approach to risk management. One reference: you can refer to ICH Q10 for guidance on pharmaceutical quality management systems and QRM principles. Question number 25. What are common data integrity issues found in inspections? Backdating, overwriting, missing entries, shared login credentials, and uncontrolled electronic records. One tip: regularly audit your data integrity practices to identify and address potential issues. One reference: you can review regulatory inspection reports and warning letters to understand common data integrity issues cited and how to avoid them. Question number 26. How do you ensure employees are GMP compliant? Through regular training, performance assessments, SOP reviews, and monitoring of on-the-job compliance. One tip: foster a culture of quality and continuous improvement to ensure GMP compliance at all levels. One reference: you can refer to guidance on training programs and performance management from regulatory agencies or industry associations for best practices in ensuring employee compliance. Question number 27. How often should GMP training be conducted? At least annually, or when new processes, products, or regulations are introduced. One tip: tailor the frequency and content of training to the specific needs of employees and their roles. One reference: you can refer to regulatory guidelines on training programs for GMP compliance, such as those provided by the FDA or other relevant agencies. Question number 28. What is the role of a GMP compliance specialist in training? To design, conduct, and evaluate training programs, ensure content is up to date, and track employee understanding. One tip: ensure the specialist has the necessary expertise and experience in GMP compliance and training methodologies. One reference: you can refer to professional certification programs and guidance on training program development for GMP compliance to ensure the specialist is qualified. Question number 29. How do you promote continuous improvement in GMP? Through trend analysis of deviations, regular audits, feedback loops, and implementation of lessons learned. One tip: encourage employees to identify opportunities for improvement and provide feedback through established channels. One reference: you can refer to quality management system standards, such as ISO 9001, for guidance on continuous improvement processes. Question number 30. What would you do if you noticed a colleague violating GMP? Report the issue to a supervisor or QA immediately. Document observations objectively and support corrective actions. One tip: prioritize patient safety and product quality when addressing GMP violations. One reference: you can refer to your company's internal procedures for reporting and handling compliance violations, as well as regulatory guidelines on quality management and corrective actions.